How can you stay motivated no matter what comes your way? You want to make sure you embrace the journey. Homesteading is a long-term commitment, and it's important to enjoy every step of the way. Now, when I talk about homesteading, I'm covering a wide range of people. Just because you have running water don't mean you're not homesteading. If you have internet, that doesn't mean to me that you're not homesteading. To me, there's modern homesteading, and then there's people who want to live completely off the grid. There's different levels of homesteading. But if you're living out in the country and doing things that are, semi-sustainable, then I'm considering you a homesteader. Challenges is a part of the learning process, and the journey itself is where a lot of the growth happens. Everything's not going to be perfect. Things are going to mess up. Things are going to break. Crops are not going to grow as good some years. Storms are going to come. Winter's going to be harder some years. And you got to be able to go through those challenges. You got to have patience, and you got to have persistence. Your chickens stop laying eggs. Things happen. But you got to keep moving, keep going. You plant your crops. They don't grow the next day. You got to wait. You got to water them. You got to give them fertilizer. You got to do these things to get your plants to grow and give you the crops that you have planted. But eventually, that crop grows and gives you fruit or vegetable, and your persistence and patience paid off. But not only that, you may have animals, and some may die, some may get sick, and you got to figure out how to manage that. Persistence is what's going to determine who's going to be a successful homesteader and who's not. But each challenge is a chance to learn and get stronger. Just the other day, I had a tractor that the hydraulic line broke. I could not get to that line for nothing. But if I call John Deere, they're going to charge me $500 just to come out here. So I had to fix the tractor line, and I finally figured out a way. I had to take 2 other lines off before I could get to that line. Well, it took me a long time to do it the first time. Well, to put it back on and get it back together, it took no time because I knew how to do it. So I learned something from that experience. You have to be a problem solver. You got to be able to find new solutions. You got to be able to find new ways to do things, because things aren't going to work out all the time. And YouTube doesn't have all the answers. So your situation may be different, where you have to do something different to come up with a solution that nobody else could think of. But necessity is the key to invention, I think what somebody said, but something like that. But so when you need something, sometimes you just got to make it yourself or come up with it yourself. And it may not be something that you have to invent. It may be the weather. Some people have water or creeks on their property. How are you going to cross that creek? Let's say half your land's on one side and half your land's on the other side. Big rain comes and it washes out your crossing of the creek. Well, you gotta figure out how to fix it if you don't know already. But when you're able to do those small things like fixing the hydraulic line on your tractor, or when your chicken first starts laying eggs, or when you get your first baby goat, or when you get your first baby cow, or if you build a chicken coop, those are small wins. You need to celebrate those. Those are things that you overcame and did something you didn't know how to do. So you need to celebrate the small wins and see those as victories. And you want to build a support system. At the end of this video, I'll link to a video that talks about building a support system. But you want people around you that are going to help. You need to be helpful to them, and they're going to be helpful to you. So you need a support system that's around you, that when you need them, they're going to be able to come around and help. Now, that doesn't mean you call them every day and ask them to come do something, because that's going to get annoying. But when you really need them, they'll be there. But you need to learn from setbacks. Whenever my hydraulic line broke, I was planting food plots for the deer, and it was aggravating, to say the least. Now, I'm not the type of person that gets too aggravated, but I wanted to finish that day, and I couldn't do it. So the tractor place wasn't open. It was Saturday afternoon, so I couldn't go get it fixed. And then when I did go, they didn't have the parts, so they had to order it. So those are things that you got to be patient about, but you learn from those setbacks. You got to figure out something else to do for that day. There's plenty to be done around the homestead. You want to focus on sustainability. Homesteading is not just about self-sufficiency. It's also about sustainability. I can walk to the creek every day and get a bucket of water and take it to my house, and we got water for the day. Well, that's self-sufficiency, but it's not sustainable. You get 80 years old, you're not going to be walking to that creek and getting a bucket of water every day. You're going to have to get somebody or yourself to drill a well so that you can continue to have water. So there's a difference in self-sufficiency, which is for a short time, and sustainable living. You can't live forever going to the creek and getting that bucket of water. Ain't going to happen. So there's small things in your homestead that maybe you're doing that you could convert it to where it's more sustainable. And you need to find those and make them that way. And always remember why you started homesteading in the first place. That'll keep yourself motivated. It's either for freedom, self-reliance, or providing for your family. Maybe you just want to get away from people and be out in the country. Just keep in mind what you started for. And that'll give you motivation for your homestead and give you that good mindset. Take care of yourself, because homesteading can be really mentally and physically draining, depending on the type of homestead you have. If you got all kind of animals, I mean, that's going to take time and work. If you're trying to live completely off of your homestead, that's going to be a challenge. So you need to make sure you rest and take care of yourself so you don't burn out. So if you're just starting to homestead, I wouldn't go all in buying everything you can. Build up to it. Start with some chickens and get eggs. I mean, don't quit your job at first. Do it slow. And you may never quit your job. Just because you're working don't mean you're not homesteading. That's another point. And you can have a full-time job where you sit in the office all day and still be what I consider a homesteader, because that's what you do when you come home. Now, there's going to be people that don't think that's homesteading, but I mean, everybody can't just quit their job and live off chickens, and you got to pay the bills. So for me, there's a wide range of what I consider homesteading. And always have a vision of where you want to be, whether it's 5 years, 10 years. That keeps you motivated. The Bible says where there is no vision, the people perish. So you got to have that vision of where you want to be. And you may not ever get there, but when you get there, you're going to have another vision for 5 years, 10 years. So that's the continuous learning, growing, always looking for the future of where you want your homestead to be, but working in the present and enjoying what you're doing in the present. If you want to know more about building a support system, click here.